Well, it's just 12 days to the end of the decade. And yes, 2020 is just around the corner. A lot happening in that year as well, but a lot has happened already. So a quick look back at the auto industry will tell you from where it was and where it's now. So yes, there have been setbacks, but they are the ups and downs of business. And who better to talk about it than Steffen. Steffen, thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
And always happy to have you here, especially talking about Volkswagen and the brand and how the journey has been. Well, it's been a long journey for you. 10 years is what you celebrated this year of the Polo as well. So how has that been, and how? I mean, obviously we are going to talk about the outlook of the future, but how have those 10 years been, and what are the learnings that you get from those 10 years?
Perhaps let's look more in 2019. I think it was a rough year. No, we had to go through rough waters. The industry was a little bit in the problems, but the good thing is that our brand stood course. Yeah. We had defined about 2 years ago a clear plan that we want to achieve. We want to become a sustainable brand with minimum 3% market share in the next 5 years. Clearly based on a very accessible product portfolio and on competitive total cost of ownership. So the plan is like it is. We have financed the plan and we are relentlessly implementing it. So for us, it was a lot of work which we did this year, but we see the fruits of the work. Yeah, so as you know, in the last 3 months, we've been able to outsell last year, in particular due to the new Polo and the new Vento, which we launched, and also because the structure of our business has gained momentum, and that's really a nice outlook.
Most of the talks now happening at this stage are about BS6. What's happening on that front for Volkswagen? I mean,
we always, as Volkswagen, we're going to comply to the laws which are in the country. So we have stopped production basically of barrage 4 cars in December now, and we will then launch in barrage 6 in the first quarter in 2020. So a smooth handover into the new emissions legislation.
Okay. I mean, we have been talking about what's going to happen in 2020. A lot of strategy in place already for that. We know that there's a lot of R&D that's happening already in Chakan. How does that outlook now? Now it's now 2020. It's just like 12 days later of the new year. So there's a lot of planning that has happened in 2019. Everything will be put in place in 2020. So can you stress on how important that phase is going to be?
First of all, for me, as a brand guy, because long-term planning, giving a promise to the customer requires that you stay on course, that you regularly do the things what you said. It's very important to make sure that everybody understands we are sticking to our investment. So we decided to invest more than 1,008,000 crore of Indian rupees here in India, in our India 2.0 setup. And the investments as we speak are rolling. Yeah, we are on track to deliver our vehicles in the country and to deliver the next step for us as a group here in India. Yeah. So what's going to happen in 2020? We will showcase at the Auto Expo in February our new vehicles. As we speak, we are going to launch 4 new SUVs in the next 2 years. So we, as a brand Volkswagen, we're going to SUV-nize, put it this way, our lineup. So our brand position is that we want to become the most aspirational and premium brand, and we believe one key component of it is to follow the trend of SUVs. Right. So far we had one SUV with the Tiguan, which has been successful in its niche. We know that it's a smaller market segment, but we are going to enrich it with additional product in the upcoming 2 years.
Okay, you spoke about products. I was going to ask you anyway, which of them can we expect? I mean, we know that I mean, these are media stories that have come out already. The All-Space, the T-Roc, and the India version of, I mean, the Indian compact SUV. But we want to hear.
So as you know, I need to have also something back in my pocket for the Auto Expo. Everybody knows we are coming with a compact SUV, which is our India 2.0 project, which is obviously from a volume perspective extremely important. It will be very accessible, it will be state-of-the-art technology, it will be a clear Volkswagen with quality, safety and fun to drive. The other SUVs you will see at the Auto Expo. Yeah? So we have a very nice lineup then available for us, and let's wait for that nice event. But rest assured, we will come with very interesting SUVs for India.
Okay. Of course, most of your, most at Geneva, at Frankfurt, there is always a big push on electrification. Will that happen in India as well?
Electrification is one of the key strategies.
No, this is basically as far as the Auto Expo is concerned. Will we see some electrification at the Auto Expo, something to grab our attention?
Let me surprise you. That's, I think, already a clear hint. Yeah. Electrification for Volkswagen is one of the key strategies. Yeah? You know, we are investing around 60 billion euros into electrification. Only Volkswagen is going to launch around 25 vehicles in the world in the next 3 years. 14 plants around the world are going to produce those cars. So it's a logical step that also India is at least showcasing some of those vehicles, yeah, in order to make sure that everybody understands in the country also that we are ready. Yeah. If it's, let's say, relevant for the market at this point in time, I don't think so. I think we need to do our homework in terms of infrastructure. We need to have an aligned plan in terms of support. Yeah, so is it now that you have 5% taxation on the batteries if you import it? Right. Is it no taxation on those components? That's important. I think the government has taken decisive steps on this. We fully acknowledge that there is a strategy being developed. We think there needs now an implementation phase of all those initiatives and a straight implementation phase. And then this country will be ready for electrification. But now I think we have to do some more steps to get there.
There's a particular line that you said earlier about Volkswagen moving on to become an SUV brand. That transition itself now puts two or three cars out of contention now. Yeah. So what happens to them then?
That is part of our portfolio. Yeah, okay. We are only adding these components, which are SUV. Yeah, so the base volumes are obviously done by our core products, right, which we have in the market: the Polo, the Vento. Yeah, the Passat, where we have a little gap, but in principle, it's a part of our portfolio. So SUV is, let's say, the communication tool for us. Because if you look in the market today, these segments are going up. Yeah? Yeah. Whereas the segments of the classical hatch or the classical notchback are somehow struggling. Yeah? The downturn of around 15% this year has been more in those segments than in the SUV segments. Yeah? So, and we believe that becoming an aspiration premium brand, we have to communicate more onto this side, because our SUV portfolio, from my point of view, is state of the art. We have wonderful vehicles available there, very competitive. They have all the elements which are necessary in terms of technology, and they are driving the brand. And that's the reason why we call it SUV-izing a little bit the brand, because that's clearly something which enables the brand to move upwards in its perception.
And it's not just in India, you're doing it globally as well. So I think
we have I think you might know our financial data of the group. Yeah, we have been able, although the volumes were going down in the first half year, able to grow our turnover. And this is mainly due to the fact that we were selling more SUVs, because the ticket size is obviously a little bit higher. Yeah? But it's really, for us, it's important. We have a clear blueprint where we want to come as a brand, and SUV can help us lifting into this direction.
But then in that case, where will the concentration be more on as far as engines are concerned? Will it be more on petrol or will it be more on diesel? Because now suddenly there was at one point in time everyone concentrating on petrol. Will that still continue as part of Volkswagen?
We have the advantage, as we have, from my point of view, the best petrol engine available in our setup, the TSI technology, clearly linked to the brand Volkswagen. It's German engineering, and we will predominantly focus our efforts on petrol. We saw it now since a while, since 2 to 3 years, that the portion of diesel is going down, and it's a logical step in our main cars in particular to go into the direction TSI technology. Does it mean that we are completely opting out of diesel? No, we will have to monitor the situation, because diesel on the other side has also an advantage that its CO2 levels are pretty low. So you have to see the complete package of emissions laws coming up, what direction you go. Yeah? And on the rural countryside, diesels are still an interesting option for our customers, because they are driving longer distances and so on. Yeah? But our core strategy is focused on TSI, the Volkswagen petrol solution, German engineering at its best.
Right. You spoke about rural markets. How much of that concentration is on Volkswagen's map right now?
Very good question. Actually, one of the reasons why it's a difficult setup for us in India was that we were not so widespread. Right. Yeah. So what we did is actually we completely changed our network strategy, and we introduced low-cost showrooms, show formats. Right. So we introduced a format which is called pop-up stores, where you have to invest only 1.5 lakh into the setup, and then you can kickstart the complete Volkswagen world with 2 cars in a show window, and you have the complete experience like we wanted, but at a very reasonable investment level. With this format, we are going to increase our reach to 150 touch points. And the interesting bit where this is, with this actually also transforming existing full-fledged dealerships into more low-cost solutions, we are able to take cost out of our network. So around 2 to 3 million euros cost actually we took already out this year. Yeah, and this is combined with a more focus on strategic investors to enlarge their reach. Right. Yeah, so and that enables us, for instance, now for going from 102 cities now already to 112 cities in the country. So we are going more wider, more broader. On top of it, what we do is, from my point of view, in India, it's extremely important that you have a service network. Yes. Yeah, so we decided to have a service standalone solution too, which means you are a partner and you want to go to another city, you can, with our launch obviously, approval, can go to and just set up a service facility. Yeah. Additionally, we just announced Volkswagen Assistance and the MSUs, how we call them, mobile service units, which we will have a possibility to go into remote pockets, where at the moment there is no positive business case to build up a facility, be it service alone, be it a sales point. With this setup, we can then reach those customers too. Yeah? Right. So clearly, India is going to grow in its car industry mainly in the rural countries, whereas the main big cities are going to be more or less stable from our point of view. Therefore, we need to increase our reach, which we are doing. Always, I want a profitable, performance-oriented, brand-conscious network. That's for me critical, and a network which has enough funds and earns money is willing to invest. Yeah. That's the baseline for us.
Yeah, this actually puts all the rumors to rest about Volkswagen, closing dealerships, because that was one thing that really caught everyone's eye. So investing more in dealerships actually and service centers will make a world of difference. This
is I can really say that's not the fact now. So we are not closing down. We are changing into lower cost formats where necessary, and on top of it we are adding. Yeah. So, but always with for me very important. We have a vision. I told you to become a sustainable premium brand with 3% minimum share. Sustainable means not only for the OEM. Sustainable means for my partners, which are my dealer partners, for the suppliers, and for the customers. And that is the underlying vision and element. And therefore, everything what we do. It looks 360, whether it makes sense for our network, whether it makes sense for me. That's very important.
All right. Moving on to what's happening in the next 2 or 3 years, probably, as far as safety features are concerned, or even your cars are concerned. I mean, obviously, Volkswagen has always been big on safety. Where does that now encash with everything that is? Your cars are already safer and conform to the norms. How will we see driver assistant features on it? How is that going to pan out?
So actually, I'm a pretty bold guy and self-confident. We are not waiting for any legal obligations to change our vehicles when it comes to safety. Safety is at the core of our company and our brand. You know that almost 95% of our steel is galvanized. Yeah. We have laser welded technology, which gives the car a lot of sturdiness. And that is really very, very important for the brand Volkswagen. When it comes to assistance packages, we have this available around the world. Yeah, no, we have lane assist, we have active cruise control, we have everything what you want, but that needs to be relevant for the market. Because if you are looking into actual situation in India, to put a lane assist doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, there might be even lane lines, but nobody is obeying to it, and the majority of cases you even don't have lanes. Yeah, but all which is relevant to the driving habits of an Indian customer, we will come up or we will have already installed in the vehicles. And this we are, like I said, not waiting for someone to tell us. We are doing this upfront. Yeah, so airbags, we were the first ones with 2 airbags in the cars. You know this. Yeah, we have always put a lot of emphasis on the sturdiness and the protection of our customers in the car and in its passive safety items. So there you can expect everything what is possible in the industry.
Yeah. A big trending topic right now is connected cars. And Volkswagen has already introduced that app when the Polo and the new Vento were introduced. Anything on the embedded SIM bit in the works?
The first step was that we have a solution where we test a little bit with the customer. Because what is happening is actually, it's an interesting bit, the majority of your customers do not want to pay for it. Yeah? So you need to have a look and also what is relevant to the customer. Yeah? And we found a lot of interesting experiences now with our setup, what we need to change. And one solution is definitely to go on with a SIM-based dongle solution. That is definitely right. It needs to be fit in to the complete business case, however. Yeah? So if you talk to my colleagues from the other brands also, I just recently a nice interaction with one of the major engineers. He says, we are charging something, but the customer's not paying. So you have to have the balance between business case and actual value for the customer. Yeah? So only a SIM-based solution is not a value per se. You need to have additional services to the customer, yeah, which are really valuable. Yeah? And that is what we are developing on, and we are looking into it. But for me, the first point was get my network also used to it, get my customers used to it. When you go to everybody in the industry today and you ask how many have actually registered your app, yeah, you will find that a lot of the tools are not used by the customer. And that's what we are doing at the moment. We are training our people with it. We are showcasing the advantage, in particular also corporate customers with fuel consumption. You can do a lot. You can reduce the overall fuel consumption of your fleet, yeah, all these kinds of stuff. But this requires training. Because first, make the value to the customer apparent. Everybody talking connectivity, but the question is, what does he want? Is it only that my sunroof is opening? To a certain extent, I'm then pressing the button. Yeah, you remember, I don't think about 5, 6, 7 years ago, we started with voice control. Yeah, and nobody was using it. Yeah, so it is really has to be relevant because don't forget the customer for these kinds of features is not willing to pay. Right. Yeah, so and therefore we are investigating, and I think SIM-based is one good solution. Yeah, dongle I still believe is the best because the embedded one still is not giving you the possibility to take it with you and bring in another car. Our solution, you can take it out of the OBD dongle and you take your Polo and you put it in your OBD dongle. That is something which is at its value because you are not paying the money and then it's with the car and then you go away. Yeah. So it's a very, very important topic. It's most likely one of the big three trends in the future, connectivity, but connectivity which brings really added value to the customer as well as to us. Because currently a lot of the tools are not bringing added value also to us. Right. They are more, let's say, kind of a gamification of connectivity. Right. Yeah, and it's very, very important to monitor because if you look at the average holding period of a customer of an app on a smartphone, it's not more than 3 days. He deletes it. So we need to make sure that he is keeping his Volkswagen app and using it. And that requires a lot of investigating what is value for the customer.
Right. We have been talking for a long time about Volkswagen digitalizing their showrooms. I think that's happened to an extent, but it's more so on the website that you have your entire buying solution for the customers. Is that going to be translated into showrooms? And because there's a lot of investment already gone into building the showrooms. That is one part of the question. And the second part will be, obviously, because there are going to be a host of SUVs coming out from Volkswagen, will there be a difference in service? Will there be a difference in the way customers are dealt with? I mean, will there be a showroom within a showroom kind of thing that nowadays people have a more premium experience, so to say?
First of all, we have invested in the complete service and sales journey in terms of digitalization. Yeah? So from the web page, which we changed in 2017 to a much more mobile applicable web page, which we have today as we speak 7 to 8 million customers going on the web page. Yeah? So a lot of traffic with our web page, up to the actual final handover of the vehicle once it's bought or once it's been serviced. So we have multiple digital investments done in the last 2 years because one of our strategic priorities was digitalization. As a matter of fact, the complete hard and software has been done, is in set. So as we speak today, in January, we will close down the last dealership in terms of dealer management system. Brand new, state-of-the-art CRM systems. So we have everything lined up. The problem with all manufacturers, and they are not the only one, is utilizing these possibilities. Yeah? And that's what we are having to do now in the second step. And 2020 will be the year of cultural change in Volkswagen. Be it the new brand design, which we're going to launch, which is visually showing that Volkswagen is going to be different. Yeah? Be in the way how we interact with our customers, let's say from a more very classical conservative style to a more casual way, a more emotional way, and being in the way how we are utilizing the digital tools. Because the infrastructure is there, but you will not believe how difficult it is to move a sales consultant into using a tablet and showing it to the customer. Because it requires an amount of high discipline to put in the data, to put in the leads, because in order to be connected to the customer, you need to know the connected data. So in terms of digitalization, we did our homework. Now we have to transfer in real terms. So second question now, in terms of new cars coming, we are already, as we speak today, we are treating customers in a different way, yeah, in terms of their needs. So we have a dedicated corporate business center set up in India, now being closed. We just launched the 21st CBC, Corporate Business Center, how we call it, where we give a special added value of 10 promises to our corporate customers. At the same time, when we launched the Tiguan and the Passat, we had dedicated premium sales consultants and lounges and areas where we are catering to their specific needs. So a couple of those vehicles will be exactly integrated in this process. So this setup is already there. Again, everything requires that it's also done. And that is what I mean with cultural change. We have to get our retail experience from a classical retail experience into the next level in terms of what is required from today's customer. And there we are working on, we're constantly adding stuff, but as you know, to change the people's mindset, that takes time.
Yeah, great talking to you. Thank you so much again. And we look forward to all that Volkswagen has to offer in 2020. And of course, we look forward to all the surprises at the Auto Expo. Thank you so much for talking.
I'm very happy to meet you at the next Auto Expo. Super. Thank you very much.